I'm going to cover a number of points, 15 maybe more, on how to finish music from somebody who procrastinated a lot of his life, thought he'd finished them, but now up against modern standards, they are not finished. And anybody can write a song. Not so many people can finish songs. So let me help you. The first thing that's going to happen is as you go through time, you are going to pick up a litter of unfinished music, some of which are the ones I want to focus on today, you will be mentally exhausted on. And the easiest way to get mentally exhausted is to keep listening to the thing as a whole. If you are going to get past this, you've got to break the thing down to its constituent parts. So the first thing you need to do when you're stuck is let some time pass. Seriously, you've got to fall in love with the tune again, and that's not going to happen for some time. In this case, I'm afraid we're 25 years later after many attempts to finish it. I just think this time is different because I've pushed through so many of the problems that I'm close enough now to consider it finishable. I'll give you a quick look. These are the things that I've got left to edit. It was 27 at one stage. You can see I've ticked a few off. We're getting there. It's just a case of staying with it. So how do you even get to that point? So you've got to let time pass, and then point number 2 is you've got to wait for inspiration again. You've got to fall in love with the tune again. Otherwise, you're going to rush it. It doesn't deserve to be rushed. This is one of your better tunes. It's just a pain in the wrong end to finish. So I've already alluded to this, but the secret, if you like, is to break things down into single tasks. Now, you say to me, yeah, I've done that before and I still get stuck on X, Y, or Z, or maybe a combination of things. I know, I feel your pain. One of the issues that you're going to have a problem with, especially if a lot of time has passed, is the sounds won't be there anymore. Technology moves on. The gear that you had, like most musicians, electronic musicians, you buy, you sell, you won't have it anymore. Fortunately, in the year that we live in now, so many of those instruments are being remade as VSTs. Yes, they're not exactly the same in every sound, but as the years go on, they get closer and closer. So in many cases, they are going to be good enough. And in fact, in some cases, they're going to be better than the original because you don't have to put up with earth hums, clicks, pops, the machine itself playing up. None of that. It will just play for you. So you're going to have to recreate some of your old sounds as VSTs. Now, the good news is that as you progress in life, you will have experimented with sound enough to have a chance at actually recreating that sound from scratch. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, let's take an example. Here's Jupiter 6 sound. I had a Jupiter 6. I've still got it, actually. It's broken. And so I have to play it as a VST. When I listened to the sound of in the original recording from 1999, then I broke it down to its parts. And I thought, it's a square wave type sound. So I went to the square wave presets in the VST, and then I narrowed it down to the closest one, and then I listened to the constituent parts of the sound, and eventually, I'm talking about the shape, the filter, the amplitude, the ADSR, the shape of the sound, in other words. And by playing with that, I've actually got a better sound than the original sound. It's very similar, and it has a slightly more characteristic to it. So a win. So you can do that. If you've been stuck with this pursuit for long enough, you can hear it. Believe in yourself. The other thing is you're going to have sounds that are sample based, but all of those sample CDs are now readily available as downloads, whether you pay for them or whether you get them from other sites. I'm not saying illegal sites, because a lot of them, they can't sell them anymore. So have a look around. And you might not find it again, but a lot of these samples are very similar to each other. And so you'll get something close enough. And that is the secret. There is going to have to be some compromise here. And that's how you do it with sound. So that's 4 points. Point number 5 is to fix the timing of your playing. And everything will sound better if it's tighter. And it will encourage you. Then we come to the vocals. Now, in this particular case, there's an awful lot of vocals. All of those tracks are vocals. And I was happy with the lyrics that I came up with there, I got less and less happy, and I wasn't happy at all there. So I've had to come up with fresh lyrics. And you can say, well, how did you overcome that? Because I've been stuck for so many times. I don't know, apart from saying that I'm old enough now to realise that if I don't get my act together, I will die before this is all done. And that's a great motivator. So at worst, you've got that on your side as you get through life. At best, you've got to compromise again. You've got to feel, you've got to listen to the content of the song, and then you've got to come up with the best compromise that fits what the song's talking about. It's not about being artistic anymore, it's about survival. So you just find some lines that keep the same momentum going, and that's what helped me through on this occasion. Next point, you need to work on the audio of the vocals and fix things like plosives, distortion and background noise. You have to what I call top and tail, take out the start, take out the end, so there's no chance of it bleeding into the track with silly little sounds. All of this is going to sound more professional. All of this is going to help you be motivated to push through, because you're seeing things change for the better. Point number 7, do you really need to add more to the track? I would say to you that the better thing to do here is to look at the outtakes. I usually stick them after the song's finished as outtakes, and that's coming back years later. That's been a goldmine of alternative riffs and stuff to fill in the blanks, and I edit those. And usually your ideas are good enough. It's just you didn't execute it well enough at the time. You can execute it now well enough through editing. The next thing is, now we're talking about editing. Edit, don't play. Don't go into musician mode. You're in engineer mode here. You're in mixdown mode, actually. And so you need to stay in that, no playing. And then you'll be focused. I've talked about fixing lyrics. I'm on to point number 10. Don't be emotional. Focus on the prize. The prize is actually finishing this darn thing before time's up. So if you get stuck again, which you probably will, take a short break. If you get stuck for the day, finish for the day, but just come back. Stop listening to it is a huge point. Stop listening to the whole thing. It'll get in your head, you'll keep you awake at night, and it will drive you mad, and you won't be focused again. You've got to break it down into the individual tracks. You've got to be, when you're editing the track, you've got to be listening to that in isolation. Look here, I'm editing this one here. That's the only one, it's soloed. I'm just focusing on that. My mind is not being, I'll say the word tortured, but annoyed by listening to the tune over and over. I'm just listening to that point. So I'm fresh again to listen to the whole thing in context after I've done the editing. I find it's helpful to organise things into drums, bass, and then either vocals or instrumentation, depending what's leading the track. So in this case, vocals, then instrumentation with colours and order. And then I edit like that. So the rhythm section here is actually pretty good. If we look at this, the only thing I've got to do is declip the bass, which I'm going to do at the end, because the declipper from the RX10 declipper, it slows everything down for the editing, so I do it at the end. Most of it is vocal fixes. All of that's vocal fixes, and there's still a few instrumentation fixes at the end. So I've organised the fixes, and then I actually tackle the easiest ones first, because I want this list to be reduced as quick as possible, because all of these things are encouraging you to actually finish. The other thing you should be doing is, I hope it's already arranged if you're finishing an old song, but often it isn't. That wants to be the first thing that you do. Once the thing's arranged, you know what you're aiming for, and that's part of it, is getting the thing down to a list of things to do. And then you have an end, the end goal is in sight, and that's crucial to keep motivation up. 2 points left to go. Don't let go. If you've had enough, stop, but come back the next day. Don't go on to another project. Have some discipline now. You're finishing. And if you leave it, it could be X years again before you come back to it. So you've got to get your teeth into it, find ways of encouraging yourself so every single day, something improves. And then you're on a winning streak, and then you're going to get it done. And the last point here is substitute sounds are okay. I've already talked about that. But I want to just, the final thing I want to say is on this winning streak. It's like a lucky streak because you've been unlucky in the past. You try things that haven't worked out and you've become frustrated and you stopped. Well, if you get, the human nature is such that if you get one thing working, you'll try another thing. If that gets working, you've got a double increase in motivation, 3, 4, 5. And now you're on a streak. I'm actually on a nearly 2-week winning streak with this now. And even though individual things can still frustrate me and hold me up, I just write it down and I go to the next easiest thing. And in that way, we've kept motivation going. Oh, I hope I can do it. I think I am going to do it. 25 years from starting this tune. I hope you'll listen to it when it's done. It's called Encounter. It's one of my better tunes. It's a kind of funky, disco, crazy sci-fi thing. I'm going to stop now. I hope that's been helpful to you. I'll see you soon. Oh, please like, subscribe, etc. I've got more on this kind of stuff. You can hear the passion. I want you to succeed. I want us all to succeed. Come on, let's not die with 10 tunes finished and 200 tunes sitting in the drawer, you know? Let's finish.